Commander Elena Voss's son died for 17 hours, 6 hours into the Battle of Kethran Expanse. She'd been on the bridge when engineering reported the hull breach in Section 7. Routine damage report. They'd already taken 15 hits. Section 7 was one more number on a tactical display glowing red with casualties. Then Lieutenant Chen had looked up from his console, face gone white. "Ma'am." Section 7 housed the secondary engineering team. Lieutenant Marcus Voss was leading the damage control party when Elena didn't remember the rest of what he'd said. She remembered her hand gripping the command chair hard enough that her knuckles went white. Remembered the bridge going silent in that horrible way where everyone knows someone's world just ended. Remembered forcing words through a throat that had suddenly forgotten how to work. Survivors? Chen's silence was answer enough. Seal the section. Continue engagement. Because that's what commanders did. They kept fighting while their children bled out in the dark. The battle had lasted another 9 hours after that. 9 hours of tactical decisions and damage reports and coordinating fleet movements while her son's body cooled in a sealed compartment 3 decks below. 9 hours of being Commander Voss instead of Marcus's mother. The Kethran had retreated finally, leaving the Kethran Expanse scattered with debris and the dead. Human sensors counted 93 friendly casualties. Marcus was 93. No. Marcus was 1. 92 others were numbers on a casualty list. Marcus was her son who'd loved terrible jokes and classical music and who'd joined the engineering corps because he wanted to build things instead of destroy them. Marcus was 22 years old. Marcus was never coming home. "Ma'am." Lieutenant Chen's voice pulled her back to the bridge. He looked like he wanted to say something comforting and couldn't find words that didn't sound obscene. Damage control reports all casualties recovered. Medical has prepared them for transit. "I'm sorry, Elena." Using her first name. That's how she knew this was real. "Thank you, Lieutenant." Her voice sounded strange. Distant. Someone else's voice. "What's our tactical status?" "We disabled the Kethran heavy cruiser Talsara. She's drifting at grid Echo 7, minimal power, venting atmosphere. No weapons. Looks like she's trying to get life support back online." Elena pulled up the tactical display. The Talsara hung there, dying slowly. The ship that had killed her son. The ship whose weapons had put a hole in Section 7. The ship whose commander had given the order that had made her a mother without a child. Life signs. Approximately 40. Their commander is among them. Wounded according to intercepts. Chen paused. "Admiral Hutchins is ordering us to rendezvous with 7th Fleet immediately. He wants us to leave the area before Kethran reinforcements arrive. Leave. Leave the dead floating in space. Leave the enemy ship to die or be rescued by their own people. Follow orders. Do the efficient thing." Elena stared at the tactical display. Kethran military doctrine didn't retrieve defeated warriors. They left their dead in space as tactical markers. Efficient. Practical. Humans were better than that. Humans brought their dead home. "Dispatch a recovery team to the Talsara," Elena heard herself say. "Medical personnel. Stabilize any survivors and bring them aboard for treatment." Silence on the bridge. "Ma'am." Chen's voice carried careful confusion. "You want to rescue them?" "I want to follow the laws of war, Lieutenant. We don't leave wounded combatants to die in space. Even enemy combatants. Even the ones who killed your son." "Understood. I'll dispatch Dr. Omori's team." "And Lieutenant?" "Begin recovery operations for Kethran casualties. All of them. The same protocols we're using for our own people." The silence this time was different. Heavier. "Commander," Dr. Omori stood from her medical station, face showing something between concern and disbelief. "Our crews are exhausted. We've lost 93 people. You've lost." She stopped, reconsidered her words. "Marcus would want you to take care of yourself right now. Not to." "Don't." Elena's voice came out sharper than intended. "Don't tell me what my son would want. Just follow your orders, Doctor. Omori's face showed hurt, but she nodded. Yes, ma'am. The bridge crew moved with uncomfortable efficiency. Nobody looked directly at Elena. Nobody knew what to say to a commander who'd just lost her only child and was now ordering them to save his killers. Elena didn't know either. She just knew that if she stopped moving, if she stopped giving orders, if she let herself think about Marcus lying in stasis 3 decks below, she would collapse. So she kept moving. Dr. Omori found her for hours later in the observation deck, staring at the debris field where her son had died. The Kethran commander is stable, Omori said quietly. Severe internal injuries, but he'll live. Thanks to you. Thanks to you, Elena corrected. I just gave the order. Elena? Omori sat down beside her. Used her first name. Everyone was using her first name now. Why are we doing this? Why are we saving the people who killed Marcus? Elena didn't answer for a long time. Because Marcus believed in something, she finally said. He believed that humans were better. That we didn't become monsters just because we were fighting them. He used to write me letters during his academy training. Long philosophical letters about why humans joined the service. He said? Her voice caught. He said we fight so we don't become the kind of species that stops seeing people as people. He was 22. He was young and idealistic. He was right. Elena turned to face the doctor. If I let that Kethran commander die because he killed my son, then Marcus died for nothing. Because I proved we're not better. We're just better armed. Omori was quiet for a moment. The Kethran commander's name is Talren. He keeps asking about the battle. Specifically about whether his ship's weapons hit any human vessels. Tell him yes. Tell him his ship destroyed Section 7. Tell him he killed 23 humans including. Elena's throat closed. Including one who mattered to me. Elena? Just tell him. Talren woke slowly, pain mapping his body in sharp detail. Broken ribs. Internal bleeding controlled now. The bitter taste of human medical compounds in his mouth. He was alive. He shouldn't be alive. The Talsara had been dying. Life support failing. Hull breaches throughout. He'd ordered his crew to the escape pods and stayed behind to initiate scuttling protocols. Better to die with his ship than be captured. Except the scuttling systems had been damaged. And the human fleet had captured him anyway. Captured. Humiliated. Defeated. His crew would be ashamed. His family would bear the dishonor. His daughter. Pain that had nothing to do with his injuries crashed through him. Shira. His daughter Shira had been stationed on the Corvette, the light cruiser assigned to his battle group. She'd followed him into the service 2 cycles ago despite his protests. She was young. 20 cycles. Too young for war. Was she alive? The medical bay doors opened. A human woman entered, older, wearing medical insignia and an expression of professional neutrality that didn't quite hide something else. Grief, maybe. Or anger. You're awake, she said. The translation device rendered her words in functional Kethran. I'm Dr. Omori. You're aboard the UHSF Valiant. You've been treated for severe internal injuries. You'll survive. I did not ask to survive. No. But our commander ordered it anyway. Something shifted in her expression. She has questions for you. About your ship's weapons patterns during the battle. Talren's chest tightened. What does your commander wish to know? Whether your ship's plasma cannons hit our Section 7. He remembered. The Valiant had been coordinating the human fleet. Taking her out would have collapsed their formation. He'd ordered full concentration on her engineering sections. Yes. My weapons officer successfully targeted your secondary engineering compartment. Why? Dr. Omori's face did something complicated. Because your successful targeting killed 23 human officers. Including the commander's son. The words took several seconds to process. I killed her child. His name was Marcus Voss. 22 years old. Engineering officer. He was leading a damage control party when your plasma cannons breached the hull. Dr. Omori's voice remained clinical, but her eyes were anything but. Commander Voss gave the order to rescue you approximately 4 hours after learning he was dead. Tal Ren felt something cold spread through his chest. Why? She's human. Apparently that means something different than I thought. Dr. Omori turned to leave, then paused. She's preparing funeral operations for all casualties. Human and Kethran. She asked me to determine which ship your daughter served on. Tal Ren's world stopped. What? Your service record lists immediate family. Daughter, Shira. Assigned to the corvette. Dr. Omori met his eyes. I'm very sorry, Commander Tal Ren. The corvette was destroyed with all hands by the Valiant's forward batteries. There were no survivors. The medical bay dissolved into white noise. Shira. His daughter. His brilliant, stubborn, beautiful daughter who'd joined the service because she wanted to make him proud. Dead. Killed by this ship. Killed by the human commander whose son Tal Ren had killed. I want to see her, he heard himself say. My daughter. I want to see her body. Dr. Omori's expression softened slightly. Commander Voss is preparing funeral operations according to both human and Kethran traditions. Your daughter's body has been recovered and is being prepared with appropriate honors. If you're strong enough to move, I can. Yes. Tal Ren struggled to sit up, pain screaming through broken ribs. Take me to her. Now. Cargo Bay 3 had been transformed into something Tal Ren had never expected to see on a human military vessel. A mourning hall. 217 Kethran bodies lay in careful rows, each wrapped in their squad banners according to traditions his own people had abandoned 3 generations ago. Human crew members moved between them with quiet efficiency, documenting, arranging, preparing them for final journey home. Dr. Omori guided Tal Ren through the rows. His injuries made walking agony, but he refused assistance. He would walk to his daughter on his own. She lay near the center. Young. Her face still visible above the ceremonial wrapping. Looking like she was sleeping. Tal Ren collapsed beside her, a sound tearing from his throat that had no words in any language. He didn't know how long he knelt there. Time became meaningless. There was only grief and his daughter's still face and the impossible fact that she would never open her eyes again. Eventually, he became aware of someone else standing nearby. The human commander. She stood 3 meters away, silent, watching him grieve. Her face showed the same raw devastation he felt. The same fresh wound of losing a child. You killed her, Tal Ren said. His voice sounded broken. Your ship's weapons. You killed my daughter. Yes. And I killed your son. Yes. They stared at each other across 3 meters of deck plating and 40 years of war. 2 parents. 2 fresh graves that neither had dug but both would carry forever. Why did you save me? Tal Ren asked. You could have left me to die. You should have left me to die. Elena Commander Voss was quiet for a long moment. Because my son believed humans were better than that, she finally said. And if I let you die because you killed him, then I prove he was wrong. I prove he died for nothing. You think saving me proves he was right? No. But maybe honoring your daughter does. Tal Ren looked down at Shira's wrapped body. Why? Because she deserves to go home. They all do. Elena gestured to the rows of Kethran dead. Your people abandoned funeral traditions generations ago. Decided they were inefficient. Wasteful. That the dead were just matter to be recycled. And humans. We learned something different. We learned that how you treat the dead shows who you are when efficiency doesn't matter anymore. When all that's left is whether you remember that every casualty was someone's child. Tal Ren felt something twist in his chest. You're preparing funeral ships. For my people. After we killed 93 of yours. After we killed each other's children, Elena corrected quietly. Yes. Why? Because grief is universal. Because your daughter deserves the same honor as my son. Because? Her voice broke slightly. Because maybe if we remember that we're all just parents burying children, we'll remember that this war never should have happened at all. Talren looked at her. Really looked at her. Saw the same raw wound he felt. The same impossible grief. The same desperate search for meaning in a death that had none. I would have left your son to drift, he said. Kethran doctrine. I know your doctrine. I know mine. I'm choosing differently. Elena met his eyes. I can't give you back your daughter. You can't give me back my son. But I can make sure Shira goes home with honor. And you can help me, or you can stop me. Your choice. It wasn't really a choice. It was a challenge. An impossible, terrible, beautiful challenge to be something other than his grief wanted him to be. What do you need? Talren asked. The funeral ship preparations took 18 hours. 18 hours of two grieving parents working alongside exhausted crews to prepare an unprecedented ceremony. Elena and Talren moved through the cargo bay together, not friends, not allies, just two people bound by shared loss and impossible choice. Elena showed him the old human funeral protocols her research team had found. Talren corrected the Kethran banner folding techniques that humans had attempted from incomplete archive data. Together they prepared Marcus's body. Together they prepared Shira's body. Side by side, two parents honoring the children they'd killed. The crew watched in silence. Some with understanding. Some with anger. Ensign Park, who'd lost her mentor in the battle, worked with tight-jawed precision, folding enemy banners with the same care she'd shown for Lieutenant Morrison. She didn't speak to Elena. Didn't acknowledge Talren. Just worked, tears silent, honoring the dead because her commander had ordered it. Dr. Yatsen, the xenoanthropologist, moved between them, providing cultural guidance. The color patterns encode family lineage, he explained. This specific configuration indicates Shira was from the Rental bloodline, third-generation military service. Her grandmother served in the border wars, Talren said quietly. Shira wanted to honor that legacy. Elena's hand stilled on Marcus's ceremonial wrapping. Marcus's grandfather served too. He used to tell Marcus stories about fixing damaged ships under fire. That's why Marcus became an engineer instead of a line officer. He wanted to save ships, not destroy them. They looked at each other across their dead children. Two families. Two legacies. Two young people who should have had decades ahead of them. Gone because adults couldn't remember how to stop killing each other. This has to end, Elena said. This war. This cycle. It has to end. It won't end because we wish it to. No. But maybe it ends because we show both sides there's something worth more than winning. Elena carefully adjusted Marcus's squad insignia. I'm sending 6 funeral ships. Human military shuttles converted to carry the dead with honor. Your people and mine, together. Return to their families. Talren understood what she wasn't saying. The Kethran High Command will have dispatched reinforcements by now. They'll arrive expecting to retrieve survivors and salvage. Instead they'll find their enemies honoring their dead. Yes. They may interpret this as mockery. As psychological warfare. Then they'll be wrong. They may attack. Elena met his eyes. Then they attack. But they'll attack knowing we gave their warriors more honor than their own doctrine would have. That has to mean something. You're willing to die for this. I'm willing to live for it. That's harder. Elena finished securing Marcus's wrapping. Her hands were gentle. Final. The last time she'd ever touch her son. Are you? Talren looked at Shira's peaceful face. Thought about 40 years of war. Thought about generations of children dying to avenge previous generations of children. Thought about grief becoming the only language two species knew how to speak. Yes, he said. I am. The funeral ships launched 23 hours after the battle ended. 6 human military shuttles, stripped of weapons, fitted with ceremonial lighting, carrying 217 Kethran warriors and 93 human casualties toward the border. In the lead shuttle, Marcus Voss and Shira Talren, arranged side by side. 2 children from opposite sides of a 40-year war. Two young people who should have been building futures instead of becoming casualties. On the bridge of the Valiant, Elena watched the formation depart. Talren stood beside her. Still wounded. Still a prisoner technically. But also somehow something more complicated than enemy. Kethran reinforcements just jumped in, Lieutenant Chen reported. For heavy cruisers. They're holding position at extreme range. Weapons cold. They're hailing us. Elena exchanged a glance with Talren. Accept the hail. The voice that came through was older. Authoritative. Speaking in formal Kethran that the translation software struggled to render. Human vessel. Identify your status. We detect Commander Talren's life signs aboard your ship. If he is hostage. Talren straightened despite his injuries. This is Commander Talren. I am recovering from wounds. The humans have treated me with. He paused, searching for words. With honor. They are conducting funeral operations for our fallen warriors. Silence on the channel. Then, explain. Elena stepped forward. This is Commander Elena Voss of the UHSF Valiant. We have recovered all Kethran casualties from the battle. They are being returned to your people with appropriate honors according to traditional funeral rites. Commander Talren has been assisting with cultural protocols. More silence. You recover our defeated warriors? This is not human doctrine. It's human conscience, Elena said. Your warriors fought bravely. They deserve to return home to their families. All of them. We've prepared individual identification for every casualty so they can be returned to specific loved ones rather than anonymous graves. The channel stayed open but silent for nearly a minute. Then, I am Warsage Krenthor. I command this fleet. I have reviewed your vessel's battle logs. I know that Commander Talren's ship killed 23 human warriors. Yes, Elena said. And you honor our dead anyway. Especially because of that. Elena's voice remained steady. Because if we only honor people who never hurt us, honor doesn't mean anything. Your warriors were someone's son. Someone's daughter. Someone who mattered to someone. They deserve to go home. Another long pause. Commander Talren, the Warsage said. Is this human speaking truth? Talren's voice was quiet but clear. She speaks truth, Warsage. She is honoring our dead according to traditions our own people abandoned. She is returning them to their families with more respect than our doctrine would show. He paused. My daughter was killed in this battle. By this ship. Commander Voss personally prepared Shira's body for funeral rites. As I prepared her son's body. Because we both believe that grief is grief, regardless of which uniform our children wore when they died. The channel went completely silent. On the view screen, the Kethran heavy cruisers remained motionless. Weapons cold. Just waiting. Minutes stretched. Then the tactical display lit up with movement. Ma'am, Chen's voice was tight. The Kethran ships are moving. They're matching formation with our funeral ships. Elena stared at the display. For massive warships had powered down their weapons completely and moved into escort positions around the 6 tiny human shuttles. The channel opened again. I have a son, Warsage Krenthor said quietly. He is 23 cycles old. He serves aboard the Vendar. Every time he deploys, I fear I will receive notification of his death. Every time I sleep, I dream of it. Elena closed her eyes. I don't have those dreams anymore. Now I just have memories. I am sorry for your loss, Commander Voss. And I am sorry that my people have forgotten how to say those words with meaning. I'm sorry for yours too, Commander Talren. For all of them. Silence. Not the silence of hostility. The silence of shared grief too profound for words. On the view screen, the Kethran warships and 6 human funeral shuttles moved through the debris field together, carrying the dead home. No speeches. No negotiations. No treaties. Just recognition. Just 2 species looking at their dead children and finally seeing the same thing. People. Just people who deserve to go home. The court-martial attempt lasted 4 days. Admiral Hutchins filed charges: unauthorized contact with hostile forces, providing aid to enemy combatants, violation of direct orders, dereliction of duty during combat operations. Then the Kethran High Command released the recordings. The galaxy watched Elena Voss and Tal Ren working together to prepare funeral ships while grieving their own children. The galaxy watched two parents choose honor over hate. The galaxy watched for Kethran warships escort human funeral shuttles through space in absolute silence. The charges were quietly dropped. 3 weeks later, the Kethran Empire requested formal peace negotiations for the first time in 40 years. Both sides specifically requested Commander Elena Voss and Commander Tal Ren as representatives. The negotiations took 9 months. 9 months of grinding diplomacy, old grudges, entrenched positions, and near collapses. Elena and Tal Ren sat across from each other in negotiation chambers, not friends, never friends, but something more complicated. Two people bound by the worst thing that ever happened to them. Two parents who'd killed each other's children and somehow chosen to honor the dead instead of feeding the hate. When talk stalled, they would look at each other across the table. Remember two bodies wrapped in ceremony. Remember choosing the harder thing. Keep going. The treaty was signed 9 months and 17 days after the Battle of Thuron Expanse. Diplomats took credit. Politicians claimed victory. Military analysts debated strategic pressure points. But Elena and Tal Ren knew the truth. The war ended in a cargo bay when two grieving parents chose honor over grief. Everything else was just paperwork. 10 years later, Elena stood at the memorial. It was built at the exact coordinates of the Battle of Thuron Expanse, a joint human-Kethran structure maintained by both governments. Every name was listed. Human and Kethran together. She found Marcus's name easily. She'd been here many times. Lieutenant Marcus Voss, Engineering Corps, age 22. Next to it, Shira Tal Ren, Tactical Officer, age 20. Two children who died fighting each other. Two names that had ended a war. They should have met in peace, a familiar voice said. Tal Ren stood beside her. Older now, grey in his features. He wore civilian robes marked with the insignia of the Kethran Diplomatic Corps. They should have built ships together instead of dying in them, Elena agreed. Do you still hate me? Elena considered the question honestly. Some days. Some days I wake up and remember you killed my son and I hate you with everything I am. Good. I would think less of you if you didn't. Tal Ren looked at the names. I hate you too. Some days. Most days. And yet here we are. Here we are. They stood in silence. Not comfortable. It would never be comfortable. You don't forgive someone for killing your child. You just carry it. Together. Because hate is easier than honor, but honor matters more. Do you know what I tell the young ones? Tal Ren asked. When they ask about the war. What? I tell them that peace didn't come from victory. It came from two parents who hated each other choosing to honor the dead instead of feeding the hate. I tell them that was the hardest thing I ever did. And the most important. Elena's throat tightened. Marcus would have liked that. He believed in hard choices mattering. Shira believed humans were barbaric. She died believing that. Tal Ren's voice carried old pain. I wish she'd lived long enough to learn she was wrong. To meet humans who proved it. She met them. In the end. Your people did. Elena gestured to the memorial. 10 years of peace. 2 generations growing up not knowing what it feels like to hate Kethrans. Cultural exchanges. Trade. Shared research stations. Kids who'll never have to stand in cargo bays preparing funeral ships for enemies. Because we did. Because we did. A young human child ran past, chasing a Kethran child in some game Elena didn't recognize. Both laughing. Both completely oblivious to the names on the wall behind them. That's what they'd built. That's what 2 grieving parents had created by choosing the impossible thing. I'll never forgive you, Elena said quietly. For Marcus. I'll never forgive you, Tal Ren agreed. For Shira. But I'm glad you lived. I'm glad you saved me." They stood there until sunset, two old warriors who'd killed each other's children and somehow created peace from that impossible grief. The memorial's lights came on automatically as darkness fell, illuminating the names. Marcus Voss, Shira Talren, and thousands of others who died in a 40-year war that ended because two parents sent funeral ships for their enemies. And the galaxy ended its silence. Finally.